Moving on now in Libya, protests erupted in the capital of Tripoli as hundreds demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Abdelhamid Dbeibah. The demonstrators rallied in Martyrs Square, chanting for elections and the fall of the government. Tensions escalated when protesters tried to storm the Prime Minister's office. One security officer was also killed. The unrest comes days after heavy clashes between rival armed groups rocked the capital, the worst fighting in years, killing 8 civilians. 3 ministers resigned on Friday in support of the protests, while demonstrators accused Dbeibah of failing to restore law and order and enabling militia control. Libya's government blamed saboteurs for the violence and released footage of a damaged government fence. Protesters carried pictures of Dbeibah and top officials with their faces crossed out in red. Let's take a listen to what some of the protesters had to say.
جاءوا اليوم هنا من أجل مطالبة بإسقاط هذه الحكومة وتشكيل حكومة واحدة وطنية لتوافق وطنية يتم الاتفاق عليها، كذلك يطالبوا بفك التشكيلات المسلحة.
إخواني الليبيين يريدون دولة ديمقراطية مبنية على الحق والعدالة والمؤسسات، لا نريد أي كلام ثاني. فيا إخواني نحن لم نخرج إلا لنصرة ليبيا.
The UN voiced concern over the escalation and urged all sides to protect civilians. Libya has faced instability since the fall of Colonel Gaddafi in 2011, with Tripoli long divided among armed factions. Calls for elections and for Dbeibah to step down are growing louder. We're now joined by Lydie Mungal, who is the co-chair of the Youth and Peace Security Coalition, Democratic Republic of Congo, located in Kinshasa. Thank you very much for joining us, Lydie. I was wondering, this conflict has slipped under the radar for some people. Many people will still remember the Libyan conflict of 2011 when Colonel Gaddafi was overthrown. Is there a real risk here that Libya slips back into a civil conflict?
Sorry, thank you so much for the invitation. I couldn't hear your question properly because my network is not that stable. Would you please come again?
My apologies. I said, Lydie, everyone remembers the civil conflict that went on in Libya in 2011 when Colonel Gaddafi was overthrown. Should people be worried? Is Libya facing a potential crisis of slipping back into civil war?
Yes, thank you so much. Of course, with the current development in the political realm in Libya, you tend to realize that since the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi, the country has not known any peace. There's been some kind of, militia growing in the capital city, Tripoli. There have been multiple fightings over different factions, so which tend to give this likelihood to fall into civil war if the issue is not addressed.
Yes, and this leader, the president of Libya right now, he seems to have an unstable grip on his power, with 3 of his ministers resigning in response to the protests. Can you tell us a little bit more about his government and why people are so unhappy? Why are they protesting on the streets today in Martyrs Square?
Yes, oftentimes one thing that we tend often to forget is when there are protests is that there is an issue of legitimacy. Of course, the international community can back the prime minister, but what do the people of Libya say about his governance, about his leadership? Those are some of the questions those are some of the key questions that must be answered. And as long as there are no proper answers, to those questions, the protests will continue on and on. And beside that, as I mentioned, since the outing of the former Libyan President Gaddafi, the country has not known any peace, and it seems like the country also battle with how to put back the countries on track. We have seen that there's not yet been any government that has been established that the people have really recognized, despite their will to organize their local governance. So I think based on those few questions, there's really need for both the African Union, of course, and the international community to come together and try to find some lasting solutions to the internal issue of the Republic of Libya.
Lydie Mangal, thank you very much for joining us on the